Welcome back for another episode of Strive for 25. Joel Farrell here, and looking forward to sharing with you our guest
Back
today.
to another episode with Strive for 25 podcast. Joel Farrell here, and I've got a really cool guest on today, George Slaughter in St. Louis, Missouri, and he is an entrepreneur and a coach, entrepreneur coach as well. And so this one really kind of fits into a different lane that we haven't spent enough time on yet, and this is the results equation. So again, we have the savings equation, the investment equation, and the results equation. The results equation, hey, how do you go from where you are today to your end destination, your end goal? Because if you're getting there, you're talking about changing behaviors, and that's not an easy thing. So, George, please introduce yourself to our listeners, and let's dig in.
Hey, how you doing? So my name is GW Slaughter, the entrepreneur's coach. I started my biggest and most successful business back in 1999 in the real estate space, where I started an appraisal business in the state of Georgia. Grew that very quickly and then got into the investment side. And then transitioned out of that in 2007, 2008 during the market crash. Moved back to St. Louis and started a marketing company, digital marketing, was starting to become very, very interesting. We were way ahead of the curve. This was 2010, 2009. Started that company then with two partners, and then eventually went on my own and sold that company in 2018 to another marketing company here locally. And went into coaching full time. So all total, I've been an entrepreneur for 23 years. I've also run and helped grow and run large organizations in the networking and Chamber of Commerce space. I currently am also the director of the Midwest Veterans Chamber of Commerce, which I'm also a founder. So in that particular space, we work with veteran business owners, veteran business people, and employees as well, to help them grow their business, help them do better business and connect with each other. We work with large corporations to help them better hire, train, and retain veterans in that space. We work with the VA as well to help them find good employees, and work with nonprofit organizations to make sure that we give back in every way that we can. So that's kind of the quick story. A lot of other stuff deeper than that, but yeah, I'm going to stop there.
No, that's a great intro. You have a lot of experience, a lot of different things that you've been involved with. So for our listeners out there, you can find GW at his website, gwslaughter.com, and on Instagram, GW Slaughter, and we'll have LinkedIn, Facebook in the show notes as well. But what I want to start off first with is the coaching business right now, because that's what you're doing. I think spending the majority of your time working with entrepreneurs and business owners and helping them do what? What's the biggest thing you're helping them do?
Scale, grow, make their lives bigger and easier.
So, and maybe maybe there's an overarching commonality, or maybe we just dig in on one or two. But when someone comes to you and they say, "Hey, I'm struggling to be able to go to the next level, scale, and grow," as you mentioned, what's the biggest hurdle or struggle that's holding them back from doing it on their own?
Having a robust plan and executing that plan. It all comes back to that. The first question I ask anybody that comes to me is like, do you have a business plan? Yes. No. No, you don't? Well, let's start there. If you do, let me take a look at it. And that's when we decide where we're going and how we're going to work together. But I have this saying, a business without a plan is a boat without a rudder.
But without a rudder. Yep. No, don't know where you're going.
Whatever happens. That's what you're going to get. Those are the results you're probably already getting. Whatever happens.
So let's take one example. It's just so the listener out there can kind of have an idea of the type of business, the scale, the type of person, size, all that stuff. What's one example that you want to maybe just dig into, if possible?
As far as one of my current clients or one of my past clients,
Either one, current or past, from that
I don't
first
have very,
scenario.
yeah.
Go ahead.
No, well, actually, well, that's another thing. I have a 0% attrition rate if anybody has been with me for 6 months. Because we are getting the results, the people that are implementing. But I have had people that have come in and tried it and didn't implement and didn't work out. I started off with I usually start off with talking to a person about what their individual goals are. Where do they want to see their business? I've had people come to me that were in transition, who were literally just starting their business, but they were working in the business full time. Um, I had people that come to me that were at a company and was taking the company, taking their team and starting their own shop. I've had people that have had great success, but was drowning in it because sometimes you can be so successful that you can't breathe. And so those are some of the just few examples of the people that I work with, because success is a lot of time misidentified as making a lot of money, and having a strong bottom line. And in actuality, there's so much more to it than that, because you could be making money and have a strong bottom line, but everything else in your business is falling apart. And so sales is great, revenue is great, all of that is great, but there's always more, and most people want more. If you don't want more, if you're happy where you are, I can only help you with your mindset. Because our strategy is to get you from one point to the next. Did that answer your question?
Yeah. That gives us kind of an example of where people are when they come to you.
Mm-hmm.
So I know one of the companies that you've been working with, that we had talked about previously, is the agricultural company.
Mm-hmm.
And that in that space, I think there's a lot of new technology coming in and just new stuff coming into that world. But I mean, do you want to maybe kind of dig into that example of, like, when they came to you, what was their hurdle? What was their biggest, struggle? And then,
Mm-hmm.
what was their end goal, or what was their end objective?
Yeah, this company came to me, the CEO of the company came to me, and he was literally pre-revenue. The company was so new, and they had some really good funding behind them. And what they wanted to do was basically build an infrastructure. There was a business plan that was in place, which was amazing. And so my job was to help with procedures and help the company get to the part where they were closing contracts and having conversations. And it really grew very fast. There's a lot of good people involved in that. And some days it felt like I was contributing, and some days it felt like I was just along for the ride, because this company was growing so fast. The industry, for clarity, this industry is in the indoor farming business, and it's really growing. The indoor agriculture is really fascinating, and it's giving other people an opportunity to learn farming that would never have access to, never even think about farming. When people think about farmers, they think about somebody in overalls getting up at 3 a.m, feeding the chickens and, hopping on a tractor and, but in actuality, this allowed people to actually come in, with very little to no experience and learn how to grow produce. And so Early on we came up with, early on we came up with policies and procedures and growth strategies and markets to attack and things like that. And in less than 6 months, it went from 2 employees to over a dozen.
In 6 months, 2 to 12.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Currently, we started in June. It's not even Christmas yet.
Wow.
And yeah, it expanded the amount of inventory is doubled. The local grocery stores are very interested, and we're starting to put those products in the local grocers. And so it's been like I said, some days I feel like I'm contributing, and some days I feel like I'm just along for the ride because it's such an amazing idea. It's such an amazing product, and it's such an amazing vision. So, I do my part. I've done my part.
You
And
you mentioned access to people that didn't even think they'd have access to. So for the listener out there to be able to kind of get a visual. So this is indoor farming
Mhm.
that can you explain more about the actual like infrastructure? Like who is this
Sure.
getting to that otherwise wouldn't be able to do it?
So the original right now as a baseline, the produce is being grown inside of a 40-foot container, which is not unlike a shipping container. So imagine vertical racks of produce inside of shipping containers. And so there's no soil, there's no pesticides, you don't have to worry about pests, weather conditions, everything is in a controlled environment. And so by being able to do that and having this inside a container, you can have people that have very little to no experience learning how to seed, learning how to transplant, learning how to germinate, and not have to go through and literally don't have to get dirty. And learning the science of the farming industry. And as these other companies grow and come in, you can start to see the acres of indoor farming is happening. These things are happening as we speak. As a matter of fact, St. Louis is probably ahead of the curve, believe it or not, which is unusual for us. But on the technology side, but St. Louis is really ahead of the curve as far as this is concerned. And but the other thing is the main mission and the main vision of the company is to eliminate or at least do our part to eliminate food deserts and insecurities.
When you say
Places,
food desert, what does that mean?
there's several definitions of food deserts, but the way that I look at it is if there's not a grocery store within walking distance of your house or in certain urban areas, especially if there's not a grocery store within 2 to 3 miles of your house, whether it's urban or rural, because there's a lot of rural areas where you just don't have easy, quick access to healthy food. With the convenience store or the gas station is your main option for daily nutrition, that's a problem. And so by putting these containers or being able to bring this produce to those neighborhoods and offer jobs and education, it's a great opportunity for not just St. Louis, but the world, because these farms can go anywhere.
So, I mean that's really extraordinary. You're basically taking, prime farmland that's in certain geographic areas that it kind of is what it is, and being able to transplant that to other areas and open up all kinds of opportunities and obviously help people become more healthy and jobs and all that stuff. What's the biggest technology that's coming into play with this? Is it the the lighting? Is it the facility? Is it the technology? What's the driver of separating the best from the rest in terms of this sector?
That's a very good question because it's not just one thing. The technology itself, and you can't do it without all the pieces. You can't do it without the hydroponics. You can't do it without the lighting. You can't do it without the controlled environment. You just need it all. These things could literally, with solar panels and water filtration, water systems, could actually be self-contained off the grid. So there's the technology that exists now, and then there's the technology that has the potential to put something like this in the middle of a desert and grow produce.
Right. If you could pump and have a system to be able to pump ocean water, filtrate it to get the salt out of it, right? Like, how is that? Like, how does that? If you're talking about the desert, right? Fresh water.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of negligible because there is a technology that has been created, and this he's basically overwhelmed by selling this product to the military, where he's created a system to take the humidity out of the air and turn it into potable water with no rain. Yeah. Just suck the humidity out of the air, same way your air conditioner does it, but on a higher technical level, where you just turn on the machine, it sucks the information out, it sucks the humidity out of the air and turns it into potable water. So there you take that, you take a container and you put your solar panels, zero need for power or water from any other source.
Yeah, I do remember seeing something like that. Yeah, but I think the scalability is still limited, right? In terms of like one device can only do so much, right?
Well, and and the manufacturing of the devices are insane. But this guy's also an ex-military guy who created this.
Cool.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, there's a lot to dig into there. So I don't want to lose kind of the overarching part of the business, because this is just one of your clients, and there's a lot of clients.
Sure.
And so the plan and then the execution, because I know when we talked to, we're talking about your business and that idea of your clients, they stay with you, right? Like the people that buy into your process, they stay, they don't leave.
Yeah.
I want to dig into that a little bit more. So, you mentioned implementation, right? Mm-hmm. So execution. Like this company, for example,
yes,
we talk about policies and procedures and vision and the business plan. Mm-hmm. How does the implementation part, factor in? They basically, you map out the goals and the plans each week, every other week. What does that look like from a day-to-day basis or weekly basis of, how this works from your perspective as kind of the coach versus the entrepreneur?
So this company is kind of an anomaly because generally I work 1 hour a week with my clients, and with this company I work about 4 hours a week. And so there's a whole lot more that goes into it than what the normal client can expect from me. And 4 hours is what's on the books. I end up doing a lot more because I'm so invested and I believe in this mission so much. So a typical, I could probably shift gears to a typical client.
Let's do that.
So basically my process is very, very simple. I created a coaching method called AIMS. We love our acronyms. AIMS, accountability, implementation, mindset, and strategy. And so the accountability is because we're entrepreneurs and because most of us started businesses because we didn't want anybody else telling us what to do and when to do it. We don't have that accountability partner a lot of times. So as a business coach, I take on the responsibility of being your accountability partner. So when you say you're going to do something, get on it, right? Implementation is the turnkey of it all. If you don't implement, you're not winning. You're not delivering. That means you're not getting the results. We can say all the things that we're going to do, but until we actually implement them, then they're just talk, which gets us nowhere. Mindset is a very important piece. I'm not just here to pump you up and 10x your business. I want you to live your best life. So that mindset is, hey, how you doing? And I've had clients that says to me, you know what? I work with other coaches and all they do is da 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 da, do this, do this, do this. Nobody ever asks me how I'm doing. And you always ask me, how am I doing? How's the family? How's everything going? Because I don't want clients that have a lot of money and are very unhappy, and the dog is biting them when they came home, and the kids aren't speaking to them, and so on and so forth. It's a waste of all of our time. And then strategy is what I do best. I can take the most complex business problem and solve it in less than 2 minutes. That's just that's the gift of my brain. I just had that conversation yesterday. But so when we start off with the mindset part, one of the things that we do every time we start a session is with gratitude. What are you grateful for over the last week? What are you grateful for in your business life? And what are you grateful for in your personal life? And then at the end of that session, we set goals, not just in our professional lives, but we also set goals in our personal lives. So we say, hey, you know what? I'm going to ride my bike for 10 miles this week, or I'm going to take my kids to the park, or I'm going to be sure to call my mom, and so that is the beginning and the end. And in the middle, we do all of the other business stuff.
So you mentioned, what are you grateful for?
Yep.
Why is that important to take the time out to actually do that consistently?
Gratitude saved my life, man. Gratitude brought me out what a lot of people would call depression. I don't call it that. But I was in a very bad headspace, and gratitude saved my life. It got me out of a bad situation. It helped me through life. One of the things I realized is that if you're not happy where you are, you won't be happy where you're going. And we always talk about the cliche, it's about the journey and all that. We can say all of that. And the way to make the journey easier, make it more fun and make it more enjoyable and make it worth more to you is to be grateful every day for where you are. And don't look at what you don't have, look at what you do have and appreciate that. Start there. So gratitude is, to me, the cornerstone of living an abundant life.
So it's so interesting because this is something that I believe in as well. And, to do something every week, every month, and spend the time on it, has an effect. But when you do something every single day and you build a habit around that every single day, it becomes part of your routine. And what you think about literally becomes your results, right? I mean, the way you think affects how you feel, affects your actions, affects your results over time. So I love that part of it because not everybody kind of gets that.
Right. Yeah, so, a lot of us spend our time in comparison and in I guess what's the word that I'm looking for? Jealousy. Most of it, we look at the neighbor's car and we're like, oh man, my car is not good enough. Or we look at our neighbor's car and say, ooh, I want one of those, and we break our back trying to get it instead of just saying, that's congratulations, man. That's a beautiful car. Keep it moving. Because what's for you is for you, and what's for them is for them. And so we are as people and the people around me, because once you become a client, you become a part of my circle. It's not just, they say you are the top 5 people that you surround yourself with. Well, the people that I spend most of my time with are my clients. And so if you're greedy or you're cantankerous or it's not going to be a fit. and I get to pick and choose who those people are. And I've done a very good job so far. And the ones that didn't last. The ones that weren't didn't last. They didn't make it to 6 months.
So the ones that didn't work, I think that's probably multiple, right? The ones that don't put in the work and implement, and the ones that aren't fit, culturally or all that stuff. So I think it's
It generally takes about 3 weeks, 3 weeks to a month to figure it out, and then that's when I say, "Hey, man, keep your money."
Well,
keep your money.
Because I have my own coach that I've had, for a number of years, from sales, business coaching, in our mortgage business, right? And same with Mike Swale, my business partner.
I love him.
Right. Well, that's how we know each other, right? Mike and
Mike's awesome.
the chamber and the whiskey stuff, and
Yes.
yeah, he's good people. And he calls it a WAG journal. I forget but the gratitude, I forget what all the acronyms are, but he does that every single morning. Anyway, side note. So speaking of weeding out the people, your style and your cadence is different than the most. Talking about coaching, I meet with my coach every 2 weeks, right? And a lot of times, like after I meet with him on a Thursday, a week goes by, it's like, oh shit, I didn't do anything. I gotta get on my stuff. I need to get working on my stuff. Yep. And then you spend the next week catching up to be ready for your call. Like that's just a lot of how this stuff works, because we're all human. We all have our shit that's chaos that we're dealing with every day.
That's what I do every week.
So you're doing it every week.
1 hour every week, because 2 weeks, a lot can get missed.
Yep.
Yeah.
And how does that? I'm assuming that helps with the implementation and the accountability.
Oh, accountability and implementation for sure. A lot can happen in 7 days, man. We get off the call, even after we get off the call, and we go right back to what we've been doing. And we have the greatest of intentions, but if you only got 7 days to do it, you're probably the same way you say 1 week, you take that 1 week off and then you cram that other week, right? That's because during that time frame, you could have gotten twice as much done, right? Mm-hmm. Not just in your professional life, but in your personal life as well.
Is it Parkinson's law that says, hey, the work, adjust to fill the time?
It's something I've heard.
Yeah. Something along those lines. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And another thing, you mentioned people, within about 3 or 4 weeks that whether you're a fit or not, right? I mean, somebody that doesn't work with you or want to work with you, what's the disconnect there?
It's generally implementation, or my favorite one is the people that I get that are really interested in coaching. And when it's time to make the initial step or the initial investment, they go, well, let me get myself together first. And I'm like, so what you're saying is you need to get yourself together in order to have somebody help you get yourself together. It's like, okay, because there's a perpetual hamster wheel of being busy and being, and I've seen it. One of the things that really attributes to my success is my ability to network. I was one of the more notable networking people in St. Louis over the last 10 years. And so that's why I go places everybody knows you. Yeah, I've been networking my tail off. And I've always taken care of people, so they all love me. But one thing I realized, man, I was talking to this one person, and it says, oh, let's get together. And they pulled out their calendar, and it was red and green and purple and all this stuff. And I just asked her, I said, you got a lot of appointments. And she's like, yeah, I'm so busy. I'm about a month and a half out before I can meet with you. I was like, really? Yeah. So are you hitting your goals? No, my business is actually down. I'm really trying to work hard. I said, yeah. Those meetings and coffees and all that other stuff that you're doing, are not producing the results that you're looking for. What you're doing is you're doing busy work for the sake of being busy. And I can help you figure out a way to do less work and less meetings and have more time and get greater results. Because I did that. I was that guy. I was that get up in the morning at 7 o'clock and go to this networking event and coffee and lunch and blah, 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 happy hour, 20 hours a week of that. And my business was in the tank because I was doing it. Most of it was really just hanging out with friends, to be honest with you. Oh yeah, Sean, come on, man, let's meet for lunch. Sean, I can see Sean anytime. Someone got offended with me, and I it wasn't my fault. I just was being honest. Somebody got offended with me because I said I don't do my 9 to 5 time is for my client and my potential clients. I would love to meet you for happy hour. That's the best I can do. But if it's not related to the business and how we're growing and things like that, and referral partners, yes, I would take that time out as well. But doing the hours of 9 to 5, I know the difference between who I should be meeting with and who I should not be meeting with. You want to come have a cigar with me later? Sure. But to take time out in the middle of the day that I could be spending working on my business, knowing that our meeting is not going to lead to that, I can't do it.
So that specific person, right? Like, I'm assuming that you're able to really pinpoint the right people that you want to be spending your time with from 9 to 5 and kind of eliminate the stuff that doesn't fit your plan. You're able to do that because you've been very clear and precise of what's going to be working for your business. So am I right on that?
Yes. Well, here's the thing. I've created avatars, okay, for what my client looks like, what my referral partners look like, and what basically those two. Mm-hmm. But what my clients look like, I have to, when I go down the list and I check the boxes and I'm saying, why am I taking this meeting? What's the purpose? What's the outcome? Same thing with my referral partners. What's the purpose? Right? And so anybody that fits outside of those avatars, I have to really, really look at it and say, what's the purpose? If it's even if it's a business relationship, but it's a casual meeting, meet me for happy hour, meet me at my cigar club, and we can have a chat. Right? But you have to be able to discern that going in. Also, you also got to know when people are coming to steal your IP and your knowledge and your coaching and drain you. Because a lot of that went on before I started my coaching business. Oh yeah. A lot of that went on. So Sean was one of the people telling me, hey man, you're just giving it away. You need to start a business. Because I was just so giddy and so happy and so giving. And I was like, yeah. And you should do it. And people were just sitting there taking notes and going back, making thousands and thousands of dollars. And I'm sitting up there like, ooh, I really helped that person. And I didn't realize what was going on. And the word got out. So people were like, hey, you should go talk to George.
So that one person you mentioned that was going to, was that a specific person or just a general person? The example of going to all these networking things and, hey, but are you actually hitting your goals? And the answer is no. I'm actually, my business is down. Like that.
Well, that's a real example. And that person would not coach with me, and they're still in that same cycle. I know it for a fact, and that was 3 years ago.
Okay, so
still in that same mad cycle of networking for the sake of being seen.
If they listen to this, would they know that you're talking about them right now? If they heard this.
I mean, hey, look, but if the shoe fits,
right? Yeah. So
if the shoe fits, give me a call. We can fix it.
Right. Not to take this opportunity to give away any free secrets, but what would be one thing that you would focus on for that person? What would be the first thing?
I'll give you free secrets. That's fine.
Right. Well, that person right there, what would be the first thing that they should start focusing on or should start doing to then turn the corner?
Well, based on that example, I would start with time management, because that stuck out to me like a sore thumb. And so I have a 4-step process of how I teach people to manage their time. The first thing you do is the first thing that goes on your calendar, you clean your calendar out. And then the first thing that goes on your calendar is your static stuff. So like for me, my coaching sessions are the first thing that go on my calendar, right? So if I know I have a 1 to 2 o'clock coaching session or a 12 to 1 o'clock mastermind, those go on my calendar first. That I have to serve my clients. That's why I'm in business. The second thing is then you prioritize, right? Those must-dos that you have every week. You know, if you know that you have to do your books every week, or you have certain strategic things that you need to do every week, your static stuff goes on first, right? And then from there, you prioritize the next 2, 3, 4 steps, okay? All the way down to, meetings with coffee meetings or whatever the case may be. And by the time you actually do that, you can see where your strengths are and where your weaknesses are in your calendar. And then we can start to say, okay, so when you're doing one thing, you're not doing another thing. So when you're having this meeting with this same person for the 4th time, just because they're cool and you like hanging out with them, but your businesses don't align and no business is getting done, but you're taking out time in the morning to go to Caldi or time in the afternoon to go to lunch, and no business is being done, and you know that, why are you doing that repeatedly? Because we get up every morning and we groom ourselves and we drink our coffee and eat our toast and pat our kids on the head and leave out to make a living. We don't leave out to go make friends. Can we go out and make friends? Absolutely. But when you come home to Timmy and Julie with a new friendship and you put that in the pot and you stir it up, the plates are going to be empty. And so it's not about, I'm not trying to, don't take it the wrong way. I'm not being harsh, but that's the understanding. And a lot of us in entrepreneurship lose sight of that, the fact that we're in entrepreneurship, but we like to hang out. We use our valuable time to hang out with our friends who are also in business, but we're not doing business. And that's not fair to you, first of all, as a business owner. That's not fair to the people that depend on you. And it's definitely not fair to the people that you should be out here serving.
Love it. From when we were talking at one point before, you were talking about, some clients, not working out, and you use the word intensity. Like, you better be ready to work.
Yeah.
Because you bring it every single day, right?
You know what? I'm not as intense as some people. I got some colleagues, and he probably knows what I'm talking about. He's let's go get him, and I'm not like that. I'm not like that. I am very, I'm kind of like that. I'm kind of like that, and I hate to refer to myself as a, because I don't want anybody to assume that I'm speaking of my clients in terms of kids, but I'm kind of like that parent who really will make you feel crappy if you don't do what you're supposed to do, and as opposed to being in your face, and especially, and the thing about it, in my small groups, my masterminds. You have 4 other people that'll make you feel like that, 6 other people that'll make you feel like that as well. So that's what I like. People like a lot of people gravitate towards my groups because we all move together. And we all hold each other accountable, and we all say, "Hey, set goals together." But in my individual coaching, the people I don't have to. I have to. Most of the people that I have on my individual coaching, I have to slow them down and make them take little chunks because they'll work until their face falls off, and that's not good either. So I have to dial that back and say, "Hey, look, let's talk about delegation. Let's talk about new procedures. Let's talk about the one thing that I always say is great leaders, especially when you're scaling your business, do 3 things better than everybody else. They partner better, they hire better, and they outsource better. And if you can master those 3 things when your business gets to a certain size, and as your business starts to scale, if you can master those 3 things, then you will have more success. Your business will grow faster than you can imagine. Because the more you take off your plate, the better leader you can become, and you can focus on high level stuff and not be down in the trenches all the time.
I love it. Is there somebody that you worked with that when they first got into your program, into your system, into your culture, that just like, hey, I don't know if this person's gonna work out, and then all of a sudden something clicked, and then they surprised you?
Yes. Yes. I had one client who who approached me, and I had a conversation, and I was like, it's not a fit. It's just not. This person's all over the place. I just can't work with them. And came back, and he's like, man, I've heard so many great things about you. I really want to work with you. And I said, okay. So I said, meet me at Caldy, 8 o'clock, and we'll talk for an hour. And I said, for the next hour, I want you to focus on one thing and one thing only, because you're all over the place. And for the next hour, we talked about one thing and one thing only, and we figured out that it was a fit, and we have had an enormous amount of success since then. So yeah, but generally, it's really hard for me to let somebody continuously show up week after week and they're not implementing, and because then I feel like I'm just taking their money because they're not, and that's how you get a bad reputation. If my clients aren't winning, then I'm not winning. And the only way they're going to win is if they implement. The only way they win is if they're just not talking. We can sit around and talk for an hour every week, but if nothing's getting done, then it's not a coaching relationship. So why should you be paying me for a coaching relationship when I'm not actually coaching you? I'm just giving you a bunch of great ideas so you can wipe your. Anyway, yeah.
Yep.
So that's it, man.
Okay. So we're coming on the hour here. We got maybe 5-10 minutes left.
Mhm.
So right now, are you adding on any more clients?
Yes, not very many though. I'm planning on taking. Well, let me be clear. My masterminds are always open. I have a lot of capacity for masterminds because I can see multiple people in that 1 hour. But my one-on-one coaching, I'm only taking 4 new clients in 2023.
Okay. So
Yeah.
so 4 new clients in 2023.
Yeah.
The masterminds are open, so they can go to if somebody is interested, they can go to your website and find all the stuff.
They can find everything they need on my website. They can shoot me an email from there, fill out a form, purchase a book, whatever they want to do.
So if if I said, hey, you know what, like who is the absolute ideal perfect scenario for a client that you would want to add into your one-on-one that you know that you could help out the most and add the most value to, how would you answer that question? Describe that type of avatar as you mentioned.
I would probably say if you have a business that is already up and running, or if you have a business already up and running and you're generating the revenue where you feel comfortable working with me to take it to the next level. Also, if you have a business that's starting up and or you're an investor that has a invested in this company and they have a young CEO or an unseasoned CEO, that's a great scenario for me to help scale the business. So those two are my sweet spot. It could be a solopreneur situation, or it can be a multiple employee situation. I generally cap out around 50 employees. But my sweet spot is probably 10 to 20. And so, yeah, but any business owner now, as far as my small groups, masterminds, it's perfect for the average, everyday business owner who just really wants to get a leg up, get some great information, go through the AIMS method and learn how to better run their business and better scale their business. Because if you want to grow your business, I'll figure out a way to help you.
The mastermind, is that something that meets how once you get into it, how long is it and how regular is it?
It is once a week. I do everything every week. It's once a week. It's a static time. I have 4 different times a day. So I have 4 different groups that meet different times a day. And the mastermind is, so we meet once a week. The program is exactly like my one-on-one coaching, with the exception of I take about 15 minutes in the middle and I do entrepreneur educational piece based on my experience, a book I've read, or some challenge that has been presented to the rest of the group. We focus on one person's challenge and we do group problem solving. And so we do that once a week on a static time. And that is really where the people who are struggling to get off the ground should really be. And then a lot of times I'll give people in the group, a one-on-one session from time to time just to see where they are.
Love it. I do want to just take one more quick second or minute or two and just kind of go backwards a little bit. So you mentioned, there's a time in your life that gratitude really helped you, right? Mm-hmm. And so you're going through something. So that struggle, that pain, what did that mean for the next day, the next month, the next year, 2 years on the road, in terms of like your business success, and how did that pain or struggle factor into kind of what happened thereafter?
So, yeah, I had a heart attack. I was going through a divorce. I was having trouble with my kids and struggling with my relationship with my kids. There was a lot going on, lots of drinking. And so I just woke up one morning and I just started off with gratitude. I don't know where it came from.
Seriously?
I don't know where it came from. It just struck me. It's like, hey, you need to be grateful because I was at a bad place. And so I just woke up one day and I was like, you know what, thank you. And I was, like I said, I was going through the wars. I was sleeping on my mom's couch. And I was like, thank you for this couch. Thank you for my mom. Thank you for, being able to get up and go out every day. Thank you for my friends and family, the people that don't like me, And so it started off with that. And because of that, I started to see that in this energy that I was putting out was returning the favor. Because I was putting positive energy out into the atmosphere, and then the way that I started treating people changed, and the way I started talking to people changed, and people were more accepting of what I had to offer, because I did doubt myself at that particular time, and all that went away. So I think without going through that struggle, I may have not learned how to be as appreciative as I am. I'm a very empathetic person, and I've always been like that. But as far as this whole gratitude movement in my life and embracing that, I literally, honestly can say it changed everything. Within a year, I went from there to a beautiful place to live, all the other stuff that I wanted in life, and a thriving business, and great relationships with my family, with my kids, with my kids, and with the people around me. So I know the power of it is real. And that's one of the things what I do in my keynotes is I talk about gratitude. My whole keynote is about gratitude. I go on for an hour about it, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Well, I definitely appreciate you sharing that. I mean, that's amazing stuff. And, on this channel, a lot of the people that we've been talking to, entrepreneurs and investors, people with 9 to 5s, myself personally, it's like, you go through something and failure or defeat or struggles, whatever, you have two choices: either to dwell on it, let it hold you back, or use it as a fuel to go to your next heights. And,
Yeah.
like, you can't change the past, but you certainly can change the future. And I just love hearing that story because, maybe gratitude works for you. It works for me. Maybe it doesn't work for you. That's fine. But there is something out there that can help some person get to the next level and figure it out. And it's up to us it's up to that person to figure out what works for them.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for sharing that. That's just amazing stuff.
It's a great story. And, the people around me watched it happen. So I have I have a whole lot of witnesses to my situation.
So I was just going to say, I put a video out yesterday talking about, people love to root for the underdog. People love to root for somebody that comes out of nowhere, or the underdog, right? And,
Yeah.
you put the work in every single day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And things change in a positive way for your life. And would you say that people started rooting for you along the way? People are in your network?
People, the true people in my life were rooting for me even when I was at my worst, and so, but the more I put that positive energy into the atmosphere, it came back in a lot of ways, even just down to people just walking past me and smiling, or somebody at the grocery store saying hello to me, or you can feel it when you feel good, and when you have that aura and you have that positivity, you'll get it back. And it's not necessarily going to be from your friends, your family, and the people you expect it from. It's going to be strangers on the street that are going to open up a door for you and says, "Hey, how you doing today, man? You look good." And that's what we need more of. And the way we get more of that is for people to be in a mindset of gratitude and not grumpiness, and this need to have more and to not. I get people, complainers, they get no airtime with me. They just don't. If I don't, somebody, if you're coming home every day and you're complaining about your job, and you're complaining about these people who did what, I'd rather not. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's go ahead.
No, I was gonna say, if you're spending energy on something that's negative, that's at the same time you could be thinking about something positive that's going to serve you. Literally, like what you think about, every
Or
day.
do nothing at all.
Right.
Just do nothing. Just stare at the ceiling. Just don't complain. I mean, things happen. Let's just be honest. Things do happen. Being positive all the time is hard, but the reason why gratitude works is because you understand, it helps you to understand that your circumstances are temporary and that life is how you process things, because I'm a big also believer in neutrality from a mindset. How I process stuff is what it is, whether it's ugly, whether it's bad, good, whatever. I think how I process it is what it is, not what everybody else says it is. So, and it helps me to look at things from a different lens, and have a neutral and understand that things in this world happen, but I don't have to respond to them in the same way that everybody else does.
Yep. Love it. So we're running out of time, and I certainly would like to have you back on down the road again.
Oh, sure.
So what would be something in, say, 6 months or 4 months or whatever in the future that would be a good vision to look at, or goal that you want to be able to hit? You mentioned adding on a few more clients, 4 clients next year. But is there anything else in your world, anything else in your vision that you or your clients or whoever that is looking to be able to get to in terms of a goal?
Honestly, one of my big things for next year is I want to help more people. And I know that sounds like a cliche, but I just had a phone call yesterday, and I'm putting together 2 really big fundraisers for veterans. And I say really big, I mean really big. Those are the things that I really want to accomplish next year, is help more people. That's always been my mission. That's always been my gift back, and my purpose. My purpose has always been to help as many people. I said it on my podcast when we had it up last year in January of 2000, and it was 2000. It was early mid 2000 during the pandemic. We had a podcast, and I made a promise to myself. I'm going to judge my success is basically going to be on how many jobs I create, not just through me, but through the people that I help, through the people through my coaching, through my nonprofit, volunteerism, and I've expanded that to how many people I can help. So I just don't want to just employ people. I want to actually help people get access to food, get access to the things that they need in life. We just talked about the event that I did this past Friday, where we had over 100 veterans. We made Christmas dinner for over 100 veterans, and gave them coats and socks and clothing and a nice, very, very nice swag bag. There was some good stuff in there. But yeah, man, and the people around me always come. I can always depend on my network to help my people. And so that's a great feeling as well.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Okay. So we got some work to do to be able to maybe pinpoint some number. I mean, do you know like how many, like at this point, I said, how many jobs have been created through some of the work in the last, however many, 1 year?
This year, I would probably say 24. I think that's probably an accurate number, a modest number. Yeah, I probably
That's
say
awesome.
between people are hiring. I got clients that are buying. I got 2 clients that bought new buildings this year, moving into their own office space or moving into commercial kitchens. I've got, yeah, so they're hiring people. So yeah, it's
That's awesome.
So a couple dozen, and if I really sat down and put pencil to paper and really did a survey, it probably might be a little bit more than that. But I'm obviously about 24 jobs created this year through my coaching. And I got two new staff members coming on with me in January.
Cool. Yeah, there's a lot more to dig into here, but we'll have to save for the next time. But yeah, man, just great catching up with you. A lot of good stuff, a lot of things that you're doing at in this community to help a lot of people. So,
All right.
GW Slaughter from St. Louis, Missouri. Thanks again.
Thank you.
All right, take care.
Have a good one.